It's really great to be here, and we're thrilled that the First Lady is coming later today. How about that? And we're thrilled to have all of you here. We got another packed room. When we started Project Play 3 years ago, we weren't quite sure where this was going to lead. It just felt like something that was the right thing to do. It started with this book that I wrote, where I went around the country and told people how we became the world's sports superpower, but also had the world's worst obesity crisis. And everybody wanted, they said, great, thank you for letting us know how we got into this, and asked how do we get out of it. So that's when we partnered with the Aspen Institute and really convened this conversation about driving towards solutions that I think the marketplace really wants. So we're thrilled that Mark was able to step up on short notice today. But I want to introduce a Grant Hill reference, or at least a Hill family reference, into the morning here, because it's pretty meaningful to me. My career actually started with Calvin Hill. A long time ago. My father was a salesman for Xerox, and he was at a conference in Cleveland, Ohio, and I got a call from him. I was in 8th grade, and I'm down in Florida. He's up there. He says, "Hey, you want to talk to Grant Hill? I'm sorry, Calvin Hill?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "You want to interview him?" I said, "Okay, but I don't have any questions together. So can he call back in a half hour?" Like I was Walter Cronkite, dictating the terms of engagement or something. But what do you know? He called back in a half hour, and Calvin Hill spent another 30 minutes with me on the phone. He was sincere and thoughtful and patient and engaged, and it wasn't about him and obviously some opportunity to promote himself. It was about me. It was about investing in someone else's kid, and that stuck with me. And I think that ethos of investing in other kids who are not your own, it runs through Project Play here. And I think that is in part why all of you have come here today, because you're not just trying to improve life for your own family or for your own kids. You see something, you see a common good that is worth pursuing, and you want to be part of a solution or a set of solutions as we move forward. And it's interesting. I mean, it's so important for kids to get active through sports. I mean, just yesterday, the National Institutes of Health released a study. I don't know if many of you saw it, in which they showed that the leisure time physical activity is associated with lower risk of 13 different types of cancer, from colon to breast, kidney to myeloid leukemia. So, I mean, people, if we really want to stop cancer here, I mean, fine, keep wrapping things in pink. But I think the best thing you could possibly do is start wrapping kids in a layer of sweat at a very early age, and giving them the healthy habits for life to keep them active. The question is, how well are we doing at giving kids the sport experiences they want and need? All kids, regardless of zip code or ability. What is the state of play for kids in the year 2016? What grade do stakeholders deserve? Leaders from across the 8 sectors that touch the lives of children: national sport organizations, community recreation groups, educators, policymakers and civic leaders, tech and media, public health, business and industry, and parents. Because no one sector can do this alone. Project Play recognizes that. No one organization, no one sector can figure this out, how to get all kids active through sports. In terms of how you're doing, let's figure it out right now. Let's please pull out your phone, if you guys have your mobile phones with you. I want you to go to your browser and type in this address. It's up on your screens right now, as.pn /pp7. Okay, this is a Microsoft Pulse poll. We're working with Microsoft on this today. It's experimental. We're going to try it. We're going to see how it works. But we think it's going to work great. And we're going to use it to capture your feelings, how you feel about how stakeholders are doing in each of the 8 strategies in the Project Play report, Sport for All, Play for Life, a playbook to get every kid in the game. Strategies designed to build healthy children so we can build healthy communities. But first I want you to grade the overall state of play. So please answer this question. What grade do you give stakeholders in getting kids active through sports? A to F, what's it going to be? You'll also be asked which sector you represent, allowing you to see how the voting compares across those 8 different sectors that I just talked about. And you'll have about 2 minutes to vote, at which point we will close the poll. We plan to take your collective grade and plug them into a document that you have in your welcome packets. Our latest report called State of Play 2016, a draft of which was released today, a final version of which we will release in the coming weeks. This is another element that we are adding to the summit this year, an annual report that captures trends and developments in each area of opportunity identified in the Sport for All, Play for Life report. It also reflects the latest sport participation rates for children, courtesy of the Sports and Fitness Industry Association. Tom Cove, is Tom here? There's Tom in the back. Thank you, Tom, for helping us crank the data on that, digging into your database. It's really valuable. You can't manage what you can't measure, and so SFI's data, which is the best that's out there, is real important to our whole process here. So tell us what you think. We think tapping into the wisdom of the crowd is a better way to go than Tom Farrey or the Aspen Institute assigning a grade. While we may have created the framework for action, the 8 strategies for the 8 sectors, we would rather you stand in judgment of yourself. The organizations that control policies, practices, and partnerships in this important space. We at the Aspen Institute are more like, I guess, like shepherds of cats, right? We kind of convene people, we identify the greatest opportunities for progress. We kind of say, okay, that's where the milk is, and people are either going to go there or they're not going to go there. We will engage in a deeper way in select projects that we think will produce scalable or systems level or really meaningful change, and you'll hear about a couple of them near the end of the day. But our primary role is, as I said, convener and catalyst. Jim Whitehead, the CEO of the American College of Sports Medicine, described Project Play as, quote, the aggregator, the unifier, the commons for all honorable institutions that serve children through sports. We basically just smash together leaders, pump big ideas into the bloodstream, then organize the best of them in a manner that promotes innovation and cross-sector collaboration. So let's see what grade you guys gave yourself as stewards of the collective state of play. See if I can read this here. All right, so 60% C, 9% B, 0A. Wow, all right. And then D, 27%, and F is 3%. Okay, so C wins. That's terrific. That doesn't surprise me. That sounds about right for what I would. You guys see, pluses and negatives, but certainly a lot of room for growth. I mean, personally, I would give an I, an incomplete. Now I know I'm kind of cheating here. That wasn't an option at all, but this is the host prerogative. We make the rules. That's why we're making you wear these kind of shoes here today. I actually have seen a lot of progress. And let me tell you why. I've seen a lot of progress in the past year. Fundamental progress. Key organizations adopting a concept of youth sports consistent with the ethos and strategies of the Sport for All, Play for Life report, which really was developed through 2 years of roundtables and inputs from 300 different thought leaders. At the launch summit last year, Surgeon General Vivek Murthy challenged stakeholder organizations to activate around the framework. And since then, we've seen U.S. soccer mandate small-sided, kid-friendly play at the youth levels and recommended no heading until age 12. I mean, the word mandate is, youth sport organizations typically don't mandate anything. This is a brand new space that U.S. soccer is going into an experiment that will be worth watching as we move along. We've seen the U.S. Olympic Committee take next steps with its American development model, providing guidance for clubs, coaches, and parents in how to engage children through a developmentally appropriate play. We've seen Major League Baseball launch Play Ball, part of a $30 million initiative to encourage participation in all forms of baseball activities. Wiffle ball, stick ball, just throwing, tossing the ball in the backyard with your friends or your parents. It's a response to the travel team culture that has made youth baseball, as Cleveland Indians owner Paul Dolan told me, a country club sport. We've seen Dick's Sporting Goods put faces on kids at risk of being left behind through storytelling, powerful storytelling. It's definitely worth watching if you haven't seen it already. The new film released at Tribeca just a few weeks ago called Keepers of the Game, about a girls lacrosse team in upstate New York in a Native American community, the type of community that we typically don't talk about when we discuss youth sports in this country. We've seen PE, a key agent for introducing a variety of sports to kids of all levels, gain access to new funding through passage of the new federal education law. Another positive development, last year the U.S. Tennis Association rallied 45 national sport governing bodies to take a shared action around Project Play, endorsing multi-sport play at least through age 12. It was a response to the trend toward early specialization that asked kids to commit to one sport year-round. Last month, the White House and the First Lady's Let's Move initiative announced an agreement with the USOC and 16 national governing bodies to provide 2 million beginner athletic programming opportunities throughout the year. Also last month, we saw the release of the National Physical Activity Plan with its first recommendations for the sports sector. Access to sport was a key theme. These are all positives. Those actions and many more are noted in our State of Play report that you have with you. Organizations that tell us that the Project Play report has been useful in shaping or informing their work include the NBA, USA Hockey, Major League Baseball, the USOC, Nike, ESPN, the NCAA, NBC Sports, USA Football, the USTA, USA Baseball, USA Field Hockey, the LA84 Foundation, Partnership for a Healthier America, and of course the President's Council. And congratulations, Shelley Full, who's at home right now, and Chris Watts on your launch of the new 0 to 60 campaign and the 60th anniversary of the council. But what we haven't seen, at least not yet, is systems change at the community level and the policies and structures that guide which children get access to sports, which do not, which are told they are athletes and which are not, are told they are not. Youth sport is increasingly dominated by early forming select teams that sort the weak from the strong well before kids grow into their bodies, their minds, and their interests. I felt compelled to hop on that bullet train myself as a father, not wanting my kids to miss out on playing in high school. It's gotten to that. And I can tell you that it's not all bad. The car rides with your kids are terrific. You get to actually talk to them a little bit. The self-esteem that flows from your kids being part of something special. The youth sport experience in our home has been good. The question is, can this be delivered to every kid in the U.S.? So it's not limited to just the families that have the means to afford this. I mean, I'm keenly aware that not every family can write a $1,000 or a $2,000 check to a local club. Not every family has two parents to ferry kids to games that are an hour away. And not every kid wants the pressure that can build up around the exercise, the expectation that some parents have for a return on investment if they're putting all this time and money into the adventure. Driven by the lure of scholarship, which in turn promotes the myth that a child must train seriously in one sport year-round from an early age. Last year, as you'll see in the State of Play report, the average number of team sports played by youth ages 6 to 17 fell to 1.89. That's continuing a downward slide over the past 6 or 7 years. I mean, I commend the leaders of the Parks and Recreation Department in Sylvania, Ohio, the town that produced that film you just saw earlier, for redesigning their programs to be more child-centric, more accessible to more lower-income kids. But they and other local providers need help. They're pushing against a youth sports culture that is dysfunctional at best and broken at worst. I see a lot of unfinished business, a landscape of volunteer coaches untrained in the key competencies in working with kids. I see parents who want their child to have a healthy sport experience, but have no idea how to demand quality from their local programs, and no tool to find the full array of programs in their area that might serve their kids' interests. Leagues, media companies, and other sports industry leaders have all expressed interest in growing sport participation in the last year. That's great. Most of them get it now. Kids who play sports are far more likely to become fans of the sports and thus consumers of their entertainment products. But will they take the next step and empower parents in the right way? Create that bottom-up demand for quality? Can they provide kids with the coaching they deserve? Quality online training modules offered for free, maybe with incentives to get certified. Can they develop a mechanism to build more play spaces in underserved communities? Can they work with other sectors to create a national policy for sports, as the NPAP calls for, that emphasizes the importance of sports as a vehicle for promoting and sustaining a physically active population, unquote. Don't underestimate policy, folks, in changing the game. Remember, Title IX was one stroke of the pen, and it opened up an awful lot of opportunities for girls and women in this country at the high school and the college levels. So let me give everyone a little motivation to go out there and figure it out. Here's my little clicker here. There we go. Okay, so each year, SFIA captures data on the number of youth, quote, active to a healthy level through sports, meaning those who are engaged in high-calorie burning activities a minimum of 151 times during the year. A total of 55 sport and fitness activities qualify, and the list includes the vast majority of popular team sports, plus a few other recreational activities that can prompt, a good sweat. Last year, the numbers fell to the lowest level since 2008. You can see it's so for 6 to 12-year-olds, it's down to 26.6% of kids are healthy to an active level. For teenagers, it's also fallen as well. Now, that's not good, but let's focus on the opportunity, the benefits if we can reverse the slide. What does the future hold if we can make real progress in the other direction? To help with that, we asked the Global Obesity Prevention Center at Johns Hopkins University to run some projections. I think you're going to be pretty excited by this. This here is a map of the U.S. The darkest states represent the highest rates of youth ages 10 to 17 who are overweight or obese. If we're able to just get half of the kids, remember, like, we're at 26, 27% right now. If we're able to get just half of the kids to a healthy to an active level, it's projected that nearly 250,000 fewer kids would be obese or overweight. Here's what would happen if we brought it up to 3 out of every 4 kids, 3 times a week, being active just 3 times a week, 30 minutes a day, okay? More than 600,000. And here's what it would be if all of them were at that level. Nearly 1 million fewer kids obese or overweight. Now that's a good number, but here's a better one. The amount of direct medical cost savings over the course of their lifetimes, $26 billion. Here's the lifetime economic impact of all those kids getting active, $43 billion. And then here is, and since people live active people live longer lives, here's how many years of life in aggregate we would save. That's a lot of life that we can give kids and better our society as a whole. Now, mind you, getting kids active 3 times a week for 30 minutes is a low ask. The CDC recommends 1 hour daily. If youth met the CDC standard, here's the projected impact. Pretty incredible numbers, huh? $57 billion in productivity losses saved, $35 billion in direct medical costs saved, 3 million fewer overweight and obese kids. And here's the impact on just one city, Baltimore. 100,000 years of life saved. So my question for you folks, is it worth the effort, what you're doing here in your work? Is it worth squaring the pyramid of sports, providing all kids, regardless of zip code or ability, with physical literacy by age 12, with the ability, the confidence, and desire to be active? Is it worth activating around the 8 strategies for the 8 sectors that touch the lives of children, asking kids what they want, reintroducing free play, encouraging sports sampling, revitalizing in-town leagues, thinking small, meaning being creative with the use of in the development of play spaces, designing for development, training all coaches, and emphasizing the prevention of injuries, because safety does need to be part of this conversation too. This is Donovan Hill, a young man I met 3 years ago in my work as a reporter, and that's his mother, Crystal. Donovan was paralyzed at age 13, trying to stop a runner with a goal line tackle using a dangerous head-down technique he alleges was promoted by his coach. That coach was supposed to be trained through Pop Warner, but wasn't, and Pop Warner later argued in court that it had no obligation to make sure he or any coach is trained. And in January, Pop Warner and the coaches who were sued settled with Donovan for several $1 million. Last Friday, less than 12 hours after we announced the First Lady as our featured speaker, I got word that Donovan had died. Yeah, he'd gone to the hospital and to get one of his skin grafts from his pressure sores treated, and something went wrong in surgery, and his heart failed, and he was 18 years old. So as a journalist, I have no plans to stop telling the stories like these. I really believe there's no progress without truth. And I think stakeholders deserve truth so they can design true solutions. But I hope they figure it out. I hope you figure it out as you move along. As more parents are withholding their children from sports that they are unsure will produce positive health outcomes. That is a drag on participation. So let's be clear. That's Donovan before he passed. So let's be clear. Project Play is not a framework for more of the same in youth sports, more untrained coaches, more travel teams. It's not about taking that model and applying to all the kids who are not active right now. Project Play is not about turning back the clock to a bygone era. One that it's easy to forget. We didn't make a lot of room for girls or kids with disability back in the day. It's an aspirational model, an appeal for values-based leadership by those with the ability to improve the game and make it more accessible and more affordable to more kids. Over the next several years, expect to see a corporatization of youth sports. Large companies, entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, even billionaires are already getting into the space, aggregating assets and content. This will play out really in one of two different ways, I believe, depending on where they perceive the market opportunities to be. They will either try to wring more cash out of the families of the 4 out of 10 kids who play sports on a regular basis, or they will try to find opportunity as well in engaging kids who are outside of the pyramid, kids that often aren't their own. The one thing we can count on, I can promise you, is that kids will want to play. Okay? More than 4 out of 10 kids want to play on a regular basis in this country. When my youngest son, Kellen, who's in the room here, I don't want to embarrass him and point him out right now. When he was just a little guy, he would come downstairs and the first words out of his mouth every morning were, "Young, go play. Daddy, young, go play." Young, go play means, do you want to go play in toddler speak? And so off we would go. We go to the toy room and we turn the couch into a pretend end zone, and or we do shoot little mini hoops, or we go outside and kick in the backyard. As Maria Montessori observed, play is the work of the child, and so for us as stakeholders, we need to kind of keep that in mind, I believe, as we move forward, because it's a lot of times just not getting in the way of the natural instinct of the child, creating a sports system that will, where we listen to what they want and they need, and then design activity that will engage a greater number of kids that are currently involved in the system. So do you want to go play? I mean, it is I think these are words that we can build the health of the nation on, and maybe even a few businesses, if that's the incentive we need to make it happen. So I want to leave you with that thought. We're going to leave the live stream right now. Thank you for joining us. We'll be coming back for the 11:20 for the conversation with Billie Jean King, and followed by the First Lady and Craig Robinson and my colleague at ESPN, Mike Wilbon. Very excited about that. So we'll see you back then, and also.
Tom, do you think we need some play this morning?
Absolutely, Tim. What do you have in mind?
I don't know. I'm an Olympic fencer, so why don't we get some fencing going on?
Done.
Tom, have you ever fenced before?
No.
So one of the things with Project Play is sports sampling. So I think you should sample some fencing this morning.
All right.
Who wants to see Tom fence? So I run a foundation called Fencing in the Schools, and we bring fencing programs to PE and after-school programs around the country. And the only thing with fencing is you need an opponent. So I happen to know a very good fencer / general who said he would be willing to take you on. So can we bring up the general right now? And you want to keep your glasses on?
No.
All right. All right. We're going to have 2 rules this morning. One, we don't want you guys to fall off the stage, so we're not going to have you move too much. All right, where's our general? Come on down, Joe. Round of applause for the general.
Don't kill me, General. Okay.
All right, come on stage. We'll get you guys on stage.
On stage, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you a few moves first. So Tom, you're gonna come down here. So these are actually some foils that we use to introduce fencing to the kids. Very simple. So in fencing, you score by turning the light on. So that's what these foils do. That's what we try to do for kids as well, is turn the light on using the sport of fencing. Are you a righty?
Righty.
Take that. Mm-hmm. Are you a righty?
I'm in either way.
All right, so you're gonna go back down this way a little bit. We've got a tight space, but we'll make it work. So the first thing I'm gonna show you guys is on guard. Well, you gotta face Tom this way. All right, so check this out, guys. You're gonna hold up your foil. That's no honor. You gotta have honor, General. You gotta have some honor. Hold on. Let's make sure your light's on.
There's no honor with journalists.
So let's have you get on guard. Tom, you come over here.
Yeah.
Before you go, you get on guard.
Okay.
So face him like this. Good, this is on guard, okay? And you're only gonna take a few steps, so retreat, your back leg first, moves first. Good, let me see your retreat, General. Only one retreat, so don't go off the stage. And then when we lunge, our arm comes out, and we extend forward. So lunge, recover. Lunge, recover. We're gonna do one practice, and then we'll do a real thing. So you're gonna be a target for him for a second. Tom, you're gonna go towards him, and when you reach him, you're gonna lunge and turn the light on the target. We don't wanna see this. Okay? One thrust. Here we go.
What about the Johnny Depp?
That doesn't work. That doesn't work either. All right, and go. Well, we don't want that, but that's all right. So that's a miss. Every time you do this, technically you're missing. So as you move, you want to keep your elbow here and just give him one thrust. Do that one more time.
From here.
Yes, but you make steps. Move your feet. Get closer. Good job. All right, now the general is going to use you as target practice with the foil. And point towards him, General, and go. Oh, you're not supposed to block. You're supposed to help him. Help him first. General, let him. There we go. All right, you guys are going to help me. Whoever hits first is going to get the point, okay? In fencing, before we start, we say on guard. Can I get an on guard? On guard. I need a better on guard than that. Can I get an on guard? On guard. When I bring this foil down, you guys are going to say fence. Fence. They're going to go at it. I'm going to duck, because I don't know what this is going to happen up here. Whoever gets the light on first is going to get the point.
Oh,
okay?
Wow.
All right, here we go. So let me get a big on guard. On guard. Don't take more than 2 steps back. Falling off the stage is an automatic loss, okay? So here we go.
Right.
And when I bring the foil down, let me get a big fence. Here we go, and here we go. Tom's going forward. Let's see who's going to score. Oh, not yet. Almost. Someone's going to score here. This is really great technique, guys. Oh! It was a tie. We have to do one more point. One more point. This is for the honor of the Aspen Institute, okay? We gotta do this. Here we go.
Can I do this one?
If you want. I don't know if it's gonna work, though.
All right.
Here we go. On guard. Everyone big on guard? On guard. By the way, who's rooting for the general here? Let me hear it for the general. Let me hear it for Tom. That was so enthusiastic. Let me hear it for the general. Come on, let me hear it for the general. And what about Tom? He works for ESPN. Come on, he's running Aspen Institute. All right, here we go. On guard and here we go. Will we have a winner? Someone will survive. Oh, Tom wins. Round of applause for Tom Farrey, our fencing champ.
Good job, Tom.
All right, so guys, in fencing, we have a lot of honor. So we salute each other. We do like one of these. We salute the crowd, and you always salute your coach. That's me.
Good.
Thank you, guys. Round of applause for these guys right here.
Great. Thank you.
Great job, guys. We need a picture real quick before we go anywhere.
Hold on.
You guys can take off your mask so we know who you are for the picture. And you hold it. You like it on? All right.
Tom, mask up there.
You gotta look. Yeah, look that way, Tom.
What a great sport.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Hope you guys had fun.
Thank you, Tim.
Have a good break. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
And General, if anyone gets out of line later, you've got the foil.
What's that?
Thank you. I said, if anyone gets out of line later, you've got the foil at your disposal.
That was really good.
Good job.
Thanks. Thank you. Got all that.
So Mark, are you up now? You know, that's one of the reasons I went into the cavalry when I graduated from the military academy, was to not do fencing, but because we have tanks now. It's a much longer weapon system. You don't have to come up on a stage. You can just, you know. Fire for effects. Thank you very much. That was good. Did you hear what Tom said? There were a bunch of quotes that I wrote down. The one that was my favorite was the Marie Montessori quote, is play is the work of the child. Wasn't that cool? I fell in love with play. Then I fell in love with sport. And all of that made a huge difference in my life. You know, our next panel is entitled Reintroduce Free Play. As the Project Play report states, if you've seen it, today many parents are reluctant to let children ride bikes across town to play with friends, even go outside and go in the alley or the street and have that game that I talked about that really grew my love for play and sport. It was interesting and very serendipitous. Right before my wife and I flew up to Washington on Sunday night, we were having discussions. We live on a really neat thing called a muse. I had never heard of this thing before, but it has 5 houses on one side, 5 on the other, and we have this big grassy area in the middle where all the kids play. But right around the corner, there's just a street. And we were talking to one of our neighbors that lives around the corner, and she has 3 boys. And Sandra told us that she wished she lived on the Muse because she's afraid to let her kids go to the park by themselves. And she has 3 very active young men, 4, 8, and 11. The fear of child abduction, while extremely rare, is certainly a psychological barrier in our society today. Crime and traffic, all those kinds of things play a part in just not letting our children play. Families are smaller, so there are fewer siblings to play with each other. But experts recognize the need to reinforce and reintroduce free play where possible, given the science that Tom just talked about. A woman by the name of Jean Coates writes, to promote lifelong, intrinsically motivated sports participation, it is imperative to build that foundation during childhood. Inclusion of high amounts of deliberate play early in development provides a motivational foundation that lasts a lifetime. But unfortunately, it's apparent to me that free play is fading. And we've got to revive the opportunity for free play. That's what our next panel is going to talk about. To lead us all in a discussion of reintroducing free play, we have a great moderator by the name of John Frankel from HBO Real Sports here today to lead that panel. John is going to come up here and really test your mettle a little bit to think of new ways to do things, or perhaps even, as someone once told me, if you want a new idea, read an old book. I think he's going to give us some new ideas and revert back to that old book. So John, where are you? Okay. No, they've changed him to here, I believe.
Yeah, I can't recall which one. So this might be the Ask Kids. So there's John.
There's John. There he is.
Sorry.
Hi, John. I was getting ready to sing.
I apologize.
Not a problem. How are you? And I've given you a great introduction. All you have to do is do whatever they told you to do back there.
Okay.
Okay?
So we're ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do
Tom
it.
might ask you to fence, so be ready for that later on. Okay.
Tom, do you want me to introduce this, or should we just bring Jeremy out? How do you want to do this? Okay. You guys have all been prepped on what we're doing here. We're talking about free play. Is Jeremy back there?
I'm sorry, is the program wrong? Because the program has like breakout sessions. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. Tom, do you want to address that? Can you repeat your question?
According to the program, there's 2 sessions now, one in here and one on the.
Yeah, there's one session here. We mentioned there's one session down here, which is free play. The other one is ask it what you want, which is upstairs. So if you want to be in that session, I would head up there. But you're talking to Jeremy as part of this.
Yes. This gentleman, some people I think wanted to go to the other program.
Right on time.
Yeah. Let's do this. Just take 10 minutes. 10-minute transition period. We'll come back and reset.
All right, so there's a 10-minute transition period. If you want to go to the other session on the 8th floor, you can do that. If you want to stay here for free play, by all means.